chasing the hunt, and I set the pace when I'm running. I always take what I want, and I always give it 100. Don't need a bank, no, I'm funded. Play the game like it's nothing. I'm always thankful for something. Don't take for granted, stay humble. Now wake up! It's time to look.
What's up, everybody, and welcome to the Comment Riders. We're here. We're going to talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 36. I'm your host, Josh Meek, the Uber Geek, joined, as always, by my good friend, Toby Tobes. What's up, Toby?
Hi, Josh. How's your night going?
My night is going well. I was up late last night, Toby.
Are you doing cool guy adult things?
No, not at all. I went to see Shin Kamen Rider in the theater.
Oh, man. I'm so, I know you actually got to go, but, I actually remember seeing, and correct me if I'm wrong, it's one of those, like when they have the opera in the theater for, one night only, you buy tickets to sit in the theater and watch, some fancy live stream thing. It's, that
yes.
kind of vibe of,
I don't think it was, live streamed, but it's the same exact vibe. Yeah, it's, one night only across the country. Everybody was, going last night. And, yeah, I think that was the only showing that they were doing was, that particular evening. The company that runs it is called Fathom Events. So
yes, that's exactly what it is. Yep.
I guess let's talk about Fathom Events first, because it's hilarious. This company is very funny. They, first of all, my ticket said 7:00 for the movie. Okay, so we got there kind of early. Found our seats, sat down. Finally, it got to be 7. And we're like, okay, it's gonna start. Pops up. We get the little Fathom Events logo, and then at the bottom there's a little timer that pops up, and it starts at 30 and counts down 30 minutes. And we're like, that can't be right. No, it was 100%. We get random repeated Fathom event advertisements for 30 whole minutes until the actual movie started. The movie didn't start until 7:30.
So real quick, first or second, whatever number I hear, how many people were there?
So it was a very small theater. I'm not sure if they had it in multiple actual theaters or not. But our actual physical theater was super small, 4 rows of reclining seats. So filled up. I think this theater maybe could hold, I don't know, 50 people at most.
Okay.
There were maybe guessing 30 in the room or around there. The low section didn't have anyone in it, where you're sitting too close to the screen, but the upper section was pretty full. So just guessing around 30 people probably.
I know, obviously you don't have to tell me your specific area. Do you live in a more populated area or a less populated area?
Yeah,
because I know for me, if I went to one of those, I'm at least in not a large city, but a medium to large size city where I think there'd probably be a lot of people that would go, or there'd be more options of people going, I guess.
So I live in the Indianapolis area, and there I know that there were at least 2 theaters showing it on the north side, basically.
Okay.
So there's one that was more in town, and I didn't want to go there because I don't love that theater. It's just not my favorite theater to go to. So I went to one that's a little bit further out of town, but was closer to my friend's house who I went to the show with. So we ended up going out to that one. So I'm guessing that there were more people probably at the other showing because it's more centrally located to the larger city. But yeah, I mean, if you're not aware, it's the biggest city in the state. It's the capital. So if any place in this podunk state is going to be able to pull some Kamen Rider fans, it's probably this area.
Okay, gotcha.
But yeah, like I said, there were at least 2 theaters on the north side. I'm not sure if there were any else on the other side of town. So that's a pretty long drive for me. But there might have been another theater down there that was also showing it. So it seemed like it was in lots of places that you could go to see. But yeah, the Fathom events, the 30-minute forced countdown was so strange. He's I get a couple ads for their things beforehand, but it was 30 solid minutes where clearly they were just looping the same 3 ads over and over again. Fathom events also, they do an ad where they're trying to show the big wide range of things that that they present. So sometimes it's sporting events, sometimes it's anime films, sometimes it's like religious movies.
Yeah, like
So
that's always my favorite because like obviously the few times you do go to the theater, it's not they don't show that constantly, but they do show the ad of like, hey, we do these special events, which is why
yeah,
that kind of thought that's what yours was. But like even their trailer for it is always showing like it's always one opera, it's always one Broadway play,
yeah,
it's always one like not famous band, but like probably used to be famous kind of band, like, oh, they're having a live performance in California on May 3rd, and we're gonna do a freaking thing out here. Like,
big reunion show. Yep. Um, but the it was that exact same thing where like their like examples were very silly, and they had like different demographics of people in their ad, which were clearly all people who like worked at Fathom. So like one guy has he rolls up on a scooter, and it clearly he's dressed like how do young people dress. He has like
oh,
a
it's one of
beanie
those.
on, and he's got like a vest on for no reason. There's a couple that's walking into the theater, and they're like monologuing to the camera, and they're like, it's our date night, we love going to the theater on our date night, and we love going to Fathom events because we get to watch the classic movies that we love, not any of that new stuff. It's like, oh no. And then there's like a sports fan who comes in and throws popcorn everywhere, and the people that they break down are great, but the best one is, which it felt very like it was a little aggressive in this crowd of people too. It was the nerds. They had the nerds. It was a clearly like 40-year-old woman cosplaying as like Sailor Moon or something, who very clearly had never cosplayed before in her entire life. And then there was like a couple like Star Trek people, and like everybody like looked the part, but very clearly like felt out of place. You could just see it in their eyes. It's like, this is not my normal self. And they're like, I love going to Fathom events because I get to see the shows I want to see with my friends.
I get to ham it up in front of everybody.
Yeah. And I will say, this is gonna sound mean. I don't mean it mean, because I am fully included in all of this. But the crowd that was here for Shin Kamen Rider looked like the crowd that would go see Shin Kamen Rider, if you can picture that in your head. And again, I'm very much included. I was dressed in all black, wearing a Godzilla t-shirt. Like I fit the bill to a T. But like I saw a dude in an Among Us t-shirt, a couple other like game graphic tees and stuff coming in. And there was a guy who sat beside us who seemed very nice, but while he was sitting and waiting, just pulled up anime on his phone and just played it really loud while the previews were going. Just, passing the time. Just gonna watch some anime really loud in this theater.
So before you give your review of the movie itself, did everyone behave in the theater, or wasn't one? Or did it remind you of the old days where like people are like texting on their cell phone, someone gets a phone call, or was everyone like more into it because it was a special event kind of thing?
So I would say, yeah, people like shockingly behaved. Like, because I even was expecting like maybe there's gonna be like clapping or cheering or something because everyone's here and like it's that kind of vibe. Everyone's here for like Kamen Rider. But yeah, as soon as the movie started, like everyone shut up. No one said a word. I didn't see a single phone out. Which is definitely, I don't know if you've been to the theater recently, not the thing that people do anymore. People do not know how to go to the theater anymore. Like post pandemic, everyone's got their phone out. Everyone's talking the whole time. It's the worst. But yes, these were very respectful moviegoers.
Like the last time I went, which was the first time in like years and years, or at least years, not years and years, was I went to see the Mario movie.
Yeah.
But that was 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday, I want to say. So it was like me and my mom. There was one guy like 4 seats down from us, and there was like 2 people together, like 2 rows down from us, and that was it. So like obviously like no one's really doing anything, so I feel like it's more noticeable.
Yeah.
But I also feel like Riff Raff isn't going to the movies at 2:00 in the afternoon on a Wednesday.
That's probably true. Probably very fair. Our particular brand of Riff Raff were pretty good.
Awesome.
And yeah, there's the movie. Oh man, So I didn't really know what to expect going in. I had tried to avoid like pretty much all of the trailers and stuff. I wanted to like not really see much of it. So the the film feels exactly like a 1970s tokusatsu show. Like they hit that vibe like perfectly. Like if you told me this was like an up-resed episode like pieced together from like literally the original Kamen Rider, I would have believed you. Because like the way they shoot it and like the pacing, like everything about it felt so retro, like on purpose. Like
So I real quick. So I know there's Shin Ultraman, Shin Godzilla, Shin Kamen Rider.
yeah.
Are they all throwbacks to their original mediums, or are they all supposed to go together now? Because I know like there's the like you and I saw the video of the crazy, I'm gonna call it a Megazord or Voltron kind of thing,
Yeah.
where like Ultraman, Kamen Rider, Godzilla, and I think there's a fourth one that I'm missing.
There's so far there's Godzilla, Ultraman, and Kamen Rider. Those are
Okay,
the only three.
but
Yeah.
like everything like merges together. So I wasn't sure
Yeah.
if it's like hardcore supposed to be like all these series actually tie together, or if it's just like, hey, that I know like I can't think of the director guy's name, but like, hey, I love all these things. I'm doing throwbacks to all of them.
Yeah, I think it's more of like a meta series where it is supposed to be like the same, I guess, vision and care paid to each of the things, but not necessarily like we're creating an extended universe where eventually we're going to have the Avengers and it's going to be, Kamen Rider and Ultraman and Godzilla teaming up. Which I think is why that Megazord thing where they're all pairing up threw everyone for such a loop, because it is so against the vibe that the Shin stuff has done so far.
I gotcha.
So it felt very weird. I haven't seen Shin Ultraman yet, but Shin Godzilla I have seen. And it kind of it's like it's sort of a throwback movie. But they're still just telling a Godzilla movie. They're making changes based on things in the past, and they're referencing things in the past. But it's just they were just basically trying to tell like a good high quality Godzilla movie for that one.
I gotcha.
Instead of making it campy, they clearly were trying to like make it very high quality. This one, however, they were trying to just like make a 70s tokusatsu movie, which is 100% what they did. There were so many, like every shot, it was almost like a Wes Anderson film in a weird way, because all the shots were like very square, like very head on. Like a good chunk of the movie is just like directly facing a character's face while they emote. Like a square shot on a character's face, or like we enter a new scene, square shot on the enemy, and they're all lined up in a line and stuff like that. Like perfect lines, a lot of like synchronized movements, a lot of like weird cuts that don't make sense but are things you see 15 times an episode if you go back and watch like old Kamen Rider, where it'll
Okay.
be like, oh, I swung my spear at you, and the next cut I'm jumping through the air at you, like that kind of a vibe. So like if you don't know about that history, you might see this and think that it's like amateurish, but like they're clearly going for that. Like that's super intentional. The movie also like does nothing in terms of setup really. Like it starts in the middle of a motorcycle chase, launches directly into like a bloody brutal fight, and like the dude is already Kamen Rider at that point, and he's like struggling with the fact that he was turned into Kamen Rider. So like you pick it up right at the very beginning, but like after all the origin stuff, and like the screen time that they pay to like his origin and what Kamen Rider is like 30 seconds, where basically they're like, yeah, we turned you into this because you're part of this organization. Now we broke you out and you're going to help us beat the organization and take over the world. You good? Like, okay, great.
So basically, like it's not really for non-fans to go see. Like it's basically like
No,
hardcore setup for.
it is like the tiny amount of setup is enough for you to like know what the gist is. They just don't like hammer it home really, if that makes sense. Like again, we talk about this a lot with Geats, where like there's a lot of stuff where it is way more vibes based than it is like story based.
Okay.
And this is like it feels like the point of the movie is like showing you really cool visuals and setting up really cool scenes, and they strung just enough plot between those moments to make it all make sense. Because the actual film is kind of like a boss rush, sort of. Like they set up these shocker bosses, which they call augs, like augmented people, and he basically goes through and they fight them one by one. So he has like showdowns, which each of these kind of boss guys, and I think there's what, 4 of them in the movie. So like each individual section is just like, we get introduced to the boss monster, we get to see what cool thing he does, we get to see a cool fight with him and the Kamen Rider wins, we move on to the next one very quickly. Like it's just kind of like rapid fire. And yeah, you get enough plot peppered in that you know what's going on, even if you came in without knowing anything. But they just keep it super light. Like they very much like show you things instead of telling you things in a lot of cases. But yeah, it's like the filming super cool. All the fight choreography was very cool. The boss monsters were awesome. Like some of the best costumes and outfits that we've ever seen, I think, in Kamen Rider. Like we talk a lot about the stuff in Black Sun, which we've been watching, and how cool some of that stuff looks. Like really with the training wheels off on it. So it's like, it's not just kid based, kid focused, where they can do some scarier stuff and kind of do like wilder stuff. And this is that, where like they can kind of do anything they want. They can make it super scary. In a lot of cases, they mix like scary with like psychedelic, like super bright colors and stuff too. And it's all super, super fun. It's a movie that I want to watch again, like without subtitles or anything on, just so I can like pay attention to the action and not read the words. It's like I read the words, I got the story, now I just want to like soak in the visuals of the whole thing.
When they do the movies like that, are there still ratings? Like, is there still like was it PG-13? Was it R? Do they not do that because it's a special broadcast thing?
I can't remember if it said when I bought my tickets. I'm not sure. It might have been marked as like unrated, since I doubt would have like sent it through the ratings board or whatever for a one night only thing.
Yes, like I don't know how to judge that, but like that was I was thinking about that as you were telling your story. Like I wonder, like I just thought, like, because I would call Black Sun an R, just because of all the gore and violence. I mean, maybe PG-13 with the way stuff works now. But wasn't sure if they rated it because of it being still Kamen Rider and like functionally kind of for kids to adults, or how that all worked.
Yeah, I will say this isn't as like pervasively dark as Black Sun. Like I feel like Black Sun has a very dark story, in addition to just the like horrific things that it shows oftentimes, where the story was intentionally like bordering on goofy silly, because like that's what they were going for with like the crazy, crazy monsters and stuff. But it's very bloody. So like whenever like the Kamen Rider guy punches someone, especially the very first fight, like he punches people and it's like a regular punch, and then just like they explode in blood. There's one point where he like punches someone and the person like rolls down a hill, but then like the hill gets completely coated with blood to the point that it's just solid red beneath where the person fell. It's like, oh Jesus. Okay. In fact, that first fight is so kind of violent and bloody. Like the character is then like staring in a mirror right afterwards. He was like, "What have I done? What did I do?"
It set the tone quick.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, like the actual story, like if you take the fights out of it, like it's not really that bad. But yeah, the fights themselves get pretty bloody at one point. But the action is so crazy, over the top, stylized too, that like it's hard to like be horrified by the blood, because it is so like comic book violence that's happening the whole time. Like at one point there are like evil Kamen Riders that are fighting our main Kamen Rider dude, and they encircle him on their bikes, and finally they like knock him off of his bike. One of the main evil Kamen Riders pins him down using his bike tire. So like drives his bike tire up on the good guy, and then still astride the bike, takes out his machine gun, aims it point blank at Kamen Rider's helmet and just starts firing.
Oh jeez.
And this just goes on for a long time, and he's like, you just hear like the bullets dinging off, and then you hear like the internal thought of the Kamen Rider guy going, "My helmet won't hold out much longer," as he is taking point blank Uzi shots to the face. So yeah, it is super fun. But yeah, I'm really excited for it to come out in like, you know, home release now. So you can see it as well, because I think you would vibe with it for sure. It's
Okay,
like,
cool.
It's very campy. It's very cool looking visuals the whole time. Great fights, and just like kind of a lot of the same, like the things we're liking about Black Sun. I think it has that stuff like turned up to 11.
Oh, nice, cool.
So anyway, that's my that's my review of Shin Kamen Rider.
Sounds like a good time for everybody.
And I hope they keep doing it. Like, as much as I made fun of Fathom there, like it's cool they brought it over and subtitled it, and hopefully it did well enough that we'll see this happen from time to time now. I'd like to see more Kamen Rider in theaters. That would be neat.
That would be fun. But so if it happens again and there's more notice, we'll have to do a meetup somewhere in between Pennsylvania and Indiana.
we'll drive halfway. It'll be perfect. All right, maybe the next Shin movie that comes out, we'll see what that one is.
There we go.
the big team up. Toby, we got some emails this week. Let's dive over
delicious emails.
Indeed. Shade sends in our first email. Shade has a lot of info. Shade says, heard you guys were talking about wanting some more general Toku related news on the podcast, so maybe I'll throw in some other Toku news that happened recently that I find interesting. So there are some things we're going to skip here in Shade's email because I think we are going to watch the referenced show. So we'll talk about that when we get there. But first, Shade tells us a little tidbit about episode 34. Apparently in episode 34 of Geats, it actually got leaked when episode 33 was airing. I guess there was a mistake with one of the streaming services that airs the show in Japan, so they showed episode 34 instead of episode 33. And then this was happened right after there was a big toy catalog link where a bunch of Sentai toys were leaked. So as Shade says, Toei was in shambles. Yeah, that's kind of a bummer if you're your TV show that is very based on kind of cliffhangers and stuff airs out of order. That's kind of a bummer.
Well, like it's funny too because I guess it's noticeable enough with Geats, but like I could definitely see there's times where you could watch them out of order and probably not know they're necessarily out of order.
Sure,
like you can skip like there's 20-minute gaps you could probably miss and not really think about the fact that like you missed it and just be like, oh, they kind of advanced this ahead while we weren't looking. No big deal. You know, media does this sometimes, and like it's probably weird to go back then and be like, oh wait, there's a whole actual backstory here.
Yeah, exactly. It's true. Shade links a video here. So when Sarah finally became a driver, she unboxed her Desire driver on a YouTube video, and I watched it through. So it's pretty cute. She like it's kind of funny. She like doesn't seem to know how to use it at all, like at the very least. Which is funny because she was on a show where people were using it constantly, but I guess she didn't have one herself, so she was like messing with it and trying to figure out how it spins and stuff.
I mean, I guess if you never really played with one of them, I guess you wouldn't think about it. And like, I mean, she's not in a ton of scenes directly with them using their drivers, so I guess depending on how they film it and stuff, like I guess you could be pretty hands off overall.
Yeah,
but I would think that like if you were with those people. If I was there, I would want to mess with one of them just for the hell of it.
Well, let me play with that. We'll see what that's like.
Like, I'm an extra. Okay, well, can I just see it for 2 seconds? I just want to one time.
Just let me mess with
it. Yes.
I just want to make the sound. Just one time. Shade says that she was really careless with parts of it, so that made me cringe a little bit. She played a little too rough with her toy.
Amateurs. Damn amateurs.
Next up, Shade sent some info about the Tycoon and Shinobi special that is coming out, which we are going to skip this information because it is interesting, and I don't want to spoil you because I'm going to force you to watch that special at some point when it gets when it gets released.
Okay.
But thank you, Shane, because now I'm excited.
Keep me in the dark. It's the best way to do it.
Shade has some info on Black Sun for us as well. The actor who plays Black Sun is very popular. He's in many movies and commercials, and because of that, a lot of people tried putting the Black Sun song into some of the other commercials that that the guy's in. And then Shade shares one here. So it's kind of like a pseudo Rickroll, I guess, of just like pairing up a song with something that doesn't fit at all.
Well, yeah, I guess Black Sun's been in a bunch of things. He's been in like serious dramas. Obviously, Black Sun itself. I feel like there's something else too that he was part of. So someone was just telling me about it earlier too. I just can't remember what the third piece of it was.
I believe it. He strikes me as an accomplished actor. he has that smolder, you know. He was also apparently in Shin Ultraman, so I guess I really should watch Shin Ultraman.
Maybe that was the third one. That he's like tied to this whole thing, this whole universe.
Maybe, yeah. Shade says, I want to talk about the Black Sun belt because, oh boy, is it a beauty. I think it's when you and I have looked at pictures of the belt. I don't know if it was in an episode or not. It might have just been you and I chatting. But we looked, when we were getting ready to start Black Sun, we looked up the crazy expensive belt.
Yeah, it's like $250 for like, I mean, it's super nice. It's super nice looking. Like, that's not the issue here. It's just like the other ones are 40 or 50. Yeah.
Yeah. So Shade's got some info on it. Yeah. The belt is part of the CSM line, which stands for Complete Selection Modification. Shade says it's a toy line that makes/remakes Kamen Rider drivers with high price and high quality materials. So definitely adult collectors. Black Sun's specific belt is equipped with motion sensors, a motor for the moving parts, and voice lines and music from the show. So yeah, that was the thing we watched where it like has the like motor where it does the kind of like pull apart, push in section. Which is just insane. So yeah, super cool. Definitely like the coolest Kamen Rider belt that like you can buy that I've seen, but I'm certainly not spending that amount of money on it. Shade even links us some Kamen Rider Geats sales numbers here, which we won't dive into too far, but the gist that Shade is telling is the first wave of merchandise for Geats was like slightly under average. But since then, the second wave and on has really increased. People are way into Geats, it seems like, with numbers that rival even the anniversary seasons, which are like historically very strong. So people apparently liked the Vision Driver that came out around that time and other stuff, and probably just in general like very excited about the show since it's a really good show, I would think.
Well, like the more we get into, at least for me, like the Kamen Rider verse, it's crazy how like, I mean, obviously people are into everything. It's just always crazy to me how deep the lore and the fandom and all the fun shit goes with all this stuff. Because like most American shows, like you'd have the show and that'd be about it. But we have Geats, and then we have all the main actors have their own theme songs, and there's 27 like behind the scenes videos of them palling around and doing goofy things and doing press stops and everything else. And it's way more involved of a show / series than anything I'm used to, at least here.
I don't know, we still get that stuff with like American shows. It's just you don't think about it as much because it like you don't have to like specifically seek out some of the things where like you might see like a clip on Twitter of a press junket that someone's in for their movie or for their TV show or something, and you maybe gloss over it because you don't care as much, but like, you know, the Kamen Rider fans are rabid, so they're like collecting all the bits and pieces, and anytime someone appears in public or, you know, recording that and putting it online. So I think we get those same types of exposures. It's just we're not the like obsessively cataloging everything type crowd.
That works. That's definitely fair.
Speaking of being obsessive, you're a big Metal Gear fan, right?
I know what it is.
Oh, I thought you were a big Metal Gear player. I must be mistaking that with Kingdom Hearts, which is clearly a must-worst game.
Thanks, man.
No, I genuinely thought you were into Metal Gear. But Shade says that recently Hideo Kojima talked about the currently airing Sentai King Oger on Twitter, which seems a bit out of nowhere, but he's a fan of old Toku shows, so it's nice that he's checking out the new stuff. And Shade sends along a translation of what Kojima said, which is super fun. I'll read a little bit of it here. He says, "When I turned on the TV for the first time in a while, Sentai was going. King Sentai King Oger, because it is aimed at children of the game generation who have excellent kinetic vision. The use of colors and cuts is dizzying. This time it's an insect motif, and it's Game of Thrones. Backgrounds and other than the final battle are mostly CG. Virtual production with green screen synthesis and LED panels is like The Mandalorian and The Batman. You finally made it. Toei has taken care of me when I shoot in Japan. Toei is amazing. Thumbs up."
What a nerd.
I love that bit though about like, well, these kids are from the game generation, so they can handle all these crazy cuts. And then Shade points out, of course, the big juicy news, which we've discussed. The next the trademark for the next Kamen Rider series is out, which is Kamen Rider Gotchard. Gotchard.
Yeah, so I know at some point, obviously, we're getting to that. And I'm really just waiting for all the juvenile jokes that we come up with all the time.
Yeah, Kamen Rider got hard.
Yeah. Or got you hard, or
got you hard. Kamen Rider got you hard.
Or like someone said, they love leafy vegetables.
I don't get it.
Because Swiss chard is a big leafy vegetable.
Oh, I didn't know.
That was the joke the other day, too. That
I still missed it the other day, too.
Glossed right over your head.
Yeah. Most of yours do. Yeah. I'm excited. We talked a little bit, maybe in the Discord, about like what that could mean, like what Gotchard could be. My big hope is that it is some sort of like either trading card game based or gacha based. I think both of those will be fun. maybe cringy, but I'm interested in seeing it.
Well, yeah, I think obviously, again, one of the crazy fans said that got plus gotcha plus card could be gotchard.
Yeah.
So especially with the show's vibe always being toys and toy driven things, I could easily see a gotcha card game, collectible card game thing coming out of this next season. Like when we watched Mega Force and they had a new card every week for every battle. So you could sell more of the stupid cards for the buckles. Or the morphers, I guess it would be at that point.
I found when they adapted that show over here, and had the card theme. They came out with a Power Rangers trading card game at the same time, and I bought a bunch of those stupid cards. I found them the other day. I don't know why did I buy those? just throwing money down the drain. But yeah, I think that could be cool. I'm excited to see it. So I guess as far as timelines go, we're getting close to the end of this season. At some point, they'll do a big press conference. That's usually what they do, where they will announce the name, show off the writer, what he looks like, and give you like a quick synopsis of the plot, sort of like what he is and what he's doing. So we can anxiously await that, I guess.
The passing of the torch is coming soon.
Yep. And then next up, we get an email from Charlie from Texas. Charlie has a fun one for us that is a little visual. So I'm gonna paste images to you as we talk about them. I will put these images in the video version of the show. If you are an audio only listener, maybe pause and go check out the video version at KamenRiderSucks.com to really get the full effect here of what we're doing. So Charlie says, for my email this week, I thought it would be nice to share some of my favorite dumb monsters and other funny monster-related things from the Kamen Rider franchise. First up, we have some Showa-era monsters. The first one is Dokuro Ball, a monster literally made of basketballs and a basketball hoop. So I'm going to send this one your way.
And we're not in Showa era now, are we? I
we
remember,
are not.
I remember I was taught months ago at this point, but I don't remember what goes where.
We are in, I think, Reiwa now is the current era.
Okay.
So Showa is pretty old, which you'll see here as a basketball monster.
Yeah, this is just what looks to be a person in fishnets.
Yeah, pretty much.
a makeshift basketball hoop with a net on their head, and just literally just looks like paper mache basketballs glued to them.
It's so good. I love that someone was like, "What's a scary monster?" Well, definitely a guy who is the living embodiment of the game of basketball.
I mean, like old school Power Ranger monsters. So I mean, all the monsters weren't really much better. Like the one episode was I Guy, and it was literally just eyeballs glued all over a body to make
Yeah,
up a whole body of literally eyeballs.
it's the super fun thing about old Toku, and yeah, like in exchange, old Power Rangers in the same turn, just how silly and just gloriously goofy it is, and that's kind of like Shin Kamen Rider wasn't quite that goofy, but like some of the costumes were like kind of borderline ridiculous, which is fun. I looked up the Showa era to see when it ended for you. So 1989 is when Showa ended. So 1926 to 1989. So the beginning of Kamen Rider up through 1989. So the first, first what two?
So like, yeah, we're going way back. This is a
Yeah,
throwback to I was just a young boy at that point. I was still alive
indeed.
for this, but I was just very young.
Yeah, this is early Kamen Rider history here, basically. The next monster that Charlie tells us about is Starfish Hitler. Yes, it is real. No, I will not elaborate, and I refuse to send a picture. Look it up yourself if you want to see. Starfish Hitler.
Is it
I've seen a photo of Starfish Hitler.
is
It
it
is
literally
exactly
just
what you imagine.
okay?
Yep. It is Hitler, but he's a starfish. Yeah. Great stuff. Because again, one of the conceits in original Kamen Rider, Shocker, the evil organization Shocker, was basically Nazis. That's pretty much 100% what they were. Um, they toned that down for this new movie. Like they're not quite Nazis, but like originally they were just Nazis.
So I had to Google it because I need to know these things. Starfish Hitler almost looks like a red parrot because his head is still his head, but it looks like functionally a starfish, but he has like a metal Hitler face and a giant swastika on his chest.
Yeah.
Like this is like, yeah, this is pretty blatant.
I mean, yeah, it's literally the like the visage of Adolf Hitler. Like it's yeah, it's pretty bad, but also hilarious. This is Starfish Hitler. The next one is Bazooka Turtle. Bazooka Turtle is a turtle with a bazooka on its back that nukes Tokyo.
So it's like Blastoise.
Yeah, pretty much Blastoise. I sent you
Oh,
there the image.
wait, this costume's so shitty. Of all of them, this is like completely horrible. It's just plain ass like cheap green latex suit almost with, I guess, a turtle head.
Yeah, okay. If you look closely, it looks like the back of his. It looks like he's wearing a poncho because it drapes over the back and then it's like loose fabric behind him. So I think he's just wearing a green poncho, which is great. The next one is Armadillong, a rock monster thing that's supposed to be an armadillo, but he looks like a guy with pebbles taped to him. And Charlie's not wrong. Looks like a guy with pebbles taped to him.
Yeah, if you put super glue on yourself and rolled in gravel, it's pretty much this dude. I could kind of see the armadillo-ish, but
It's as if someone described an armadillo to the Japanese people, but didn't show them a picture and then forced them to recreate it. It was like, I don't know. They said that he was rough and bumpy. Let's just put some pebbles here. It's great
his
stuff.
ears, we're good.
And then Charlie says, in the Heisei era, there is Kamen Rider Agito, where the monsters have hilariously long official names. I shall list a few. So no photos here, just the names of the funny thing. Tortoise Road Tetsude Oceanus, that's one name. Zebra Lord Equus Dies, and Lizard Road Stereo Sinastra.
These are like Mega Man monsters
Truly.
villains, whatever. Robot masters.
Kamen Rider X8 has my favorite one, the bike riding Charlie Bugster. I may be a bit biased though.
Yeah, it definitely is.
And then Charlie says, as always, you're doing an amazing job. Keep up the good work. Thanks very much, Charlie.
Thanks, man.
Picked out some great monsters there. Um, and that's emails. If you want to send us an email like Shade and Charlie did, please do so. You can send those to cast@commonwritersucks.com. We, however, Toby, are going to jump in and talk about Kamen Rider Geats episode 36.
It's time.
It is time. This episode opens basically with Buffa getting overpowered by Archimeedle because he has the power to defeat Kamen Riders, but he doesn't have the power to defeat Giamato, apparently.
And I thought that was a crazy fun way to do that.
Yeah.
Where like when Buff has a realization of like, oh, that's an excellent point. I did wish for a hyper. It's like the bad genies, where you make a wish that's a little too hyper specific or a little too vague, where they just smirk and laugh at you and go, "Oh no, I gave you what you wished for, but you left out like options A, B, and C that tie into this. Where now you're weak or you're invisible because you wanted to be, but you can't come back and you'll always be invisible now."
You said you didn't want anyone to see you, and now you're invisible and no one can. Ha! Like that type of thing. Yeah. So Buffo eventually, makes his escape. But then we find out, of course, we've seen the scheming between Kekara, our little frog friend, and Maroba. And now we find out that they're a little team-up group. They're going to give Archimeedle an offer that he can't refuse. Basically, they want him to target Sarah and take Sarah out, specifically with the goal being to, force Keiwa into accepting his true hero potential, like force him into despair, so that way he becomes a hero. So Kekara turning out to be kind of a bad guy.
Yeah, like we kind of touched on it last week or maybe the week before. I always assumed the sponsors were pro their person. And he's going about it an insane way to make Keiwa Hulk out and get to his final form, where he's teamed up with Baroba and basically says, like, until he's infinitely sad, we'll never get the truest hero. So I work with the worst person possible to achieve these results.
Yeah, he's pro Keiwa, but like from a conceptual standpoint. Like he likes Keiwa as a TV show character, like in the same way where I would say like, Spider-Man really has to go through a big trauma here so that way he can come back in the third act and become the real hero, like talking about it very clinically like that, not, knowing Spider-Man's not a real person. Like that's kind of what Kekara is doing here. I'm like, well, if we really want to see him have the good arc, his sister's got to die. She's like, this is a real person, bro. Of course, last time we also found out that the producer and Punk Jack came back. Were brought back to life, and they're going to start making preparations to leave this world, which is kind of the thing that's been going on here. So I guess the first of those is that the producer goes to meet up with Gene and basically tells him, hey, the grand end is heading our way. Before that happens, he wants Gene's help to handle the unruly supporters by being a negotiator. So he's talking about Baroba and maybe Kekara in that case.
I would assume it have to be at this point.
Yeah.
Where I think he's lost his way.
Yes, indeed. Gene's open to helping out the producer, but he wants to know about Ace's mother first. And the producer basically says, like, I've already got someone looking into that. And then the someone looking into that, of course, is Punk Jack.
The hero. Everyone's favorite monster guy.
I love his
star of his own series coming soon, or out
yes.
now, or whatever we decide it was.
I loved his introduction here to Ace. He kind of reintroduces himself by just punching Ace, just trying to start a fight. He shows up just to chat, but quick little fight first. He he basically like tries to punch Ace and then tells Ace like, hey, I'm back and I'm researching your mom.
But I want to punch you.
Yeah, but like after punching him though, he kind of like he warns him, like he's like, yeah, we're looking into what's happening with your mom before we leave. So when the world ends, you're gonna lose all your memories. That's kind of what he tells him. So like you don't have much time. Like he basically is telling him like if you want to get some answers and figure some stuff out, like you need to do it now because like you're running out of time. So I think Punk Jack begrudgingly likes Ace at this point.
And I feel like that's what happens with all of them. That no matter what, even when they're against him, eventually it's like, well, you're the only person that's kind of keeping us all here and being things. So
Yeah.
I guess you're okay.
Yeah, I guess you're all right. So yeah, I love the reintroduction of Punk Jack. I'm excited to see how he inserts himself here. Then of course, Keiwa continues to hide from his sister, pretend like he's not in the game. You know, he's still hiding behind the stupid Tanuki statue.
I would say your favorite thing, the slapsticking.
Yeah, exactly. This next scene is kind of it's basically Sarah um realizing and learning what Neon's wish was to kind of disappear, and Sarah kind of getting offended about that, basically being like, "But I don't want to forget you. Like, why would I want to forget you? Like, you don't get to decide for me that I get to forget you." Kind of a thing was her whole vibe.
Well, then it's a weird mix between her and even Neon still keeps going back and forth with her morality thing, where she's like, "No, I've accepted it. I shouldn't be here. Like, we'll just let that go. No biggie."
Yeah, yeah. I think Neon is in a real like fall on her own sword feeling with all of this. Like, I think she's like, well, I'm not a real person, so I don't deserve to exist. Is sort of what she's going through right now.
Well, I
And
guess it's either that or like, I guess if we're playing for people's wishes and some people have happy wishes, she doesn't care as much. But maybe not. Like, I don't know. Like, she's basically like wishing, like, no, I just won't be here. It's okay. You guys do your thing. I'm going either
yeah,
way.
well, yeah, she's kind of like wishing for like she's attempting to wish for other people's happiness by wanting to disappear without hurting people, essentially. But you know, like the old saying, like, oh, it's not the destination, it's the journey. Like, if it's better to have loved and lost than to not have loved at all, but it's better to have fangirled over a streamer than to not have fangirled over a streamer at all. So yeah, Sarah and her kind of fight a little bit about it, and then Sarah leaves, and then Keiwa comes out and has a little heart to heart with Neon. Basically
We're
like,
friends,
oh
though. I thought we
yeah,
were friends.
exactly. That's the gist. He sees us as like, what are you gonna do? And she says like, oh, cute, invited me to the future. Kay was like, is that what you want to do? And she doesn't really know what she wants to do.
Never
So
go with him.
yeah, Kay was like, oh, we're friends. Like, let's hang out. Let's be good. Yeah, I thought it was very cute. Kay was like kind of trying to tell her like, no, stick with us. Like, we're good. Like, you're our friend. We like, there's room for everybody to be happy. You can stay here and be happy. So very, very cute.
He's still a nice boy.
He
hasn't
is.
been broken by the rudeness of our friends yet.
Not yet. Speaking of rude friends, the next scene involves Neon's dad, who is the rudest of boys.
But it's always nice when he comes back just to see his pissy serial killer face once again.
Just murder face on display. Yeah, so the producer goes to talk to him, basically says, hey, we're leaving soon. Do you want to keep your memories or do you want to lose them when we leave? And of course that sets him off. He says, you people from the future, you treat us like little disposable playthings. You treat our happiness like it's nothing. And the producer then says like, oh, you need to figure out what happiness means for you, because for me it means like eating
exactly
food.
What I'm gonna do.
Like the thing I've been doing this whole show is going and eating food in funny places. So I feel like there's more to this story here. So the producer is like making preparations for when they leave. They're attempting to like investigate the goddess and stuff like that. So I think the going to talk to Neon's dad was like, there's probably an ulterior motive to that, I would guess.
There's nudges. They're he's working towards something. He's trying to amp them up.
And I'm not certain whose side they're on yet either. So it'll be really interesting to see here.
Well, pretty much like other than the main characters at this point, I feel like everyone has switched sides or has created their own side that they're now hiding in some way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
Everyone's just doing their own thing at this point.
Pretty much, yeah.
There's no more rules.
Yeah, the allegiances are definitely a little split now, since it's like down to should the DGP exist or not. So that has definitely redrawn some lines, including Toby. The weird alliance of Buffa and Ace
No,
continues.
it's the ultimate team up. It's
It
the
really
greatest
is.
combination they could have put back together.
I love it so much. In our next scene, Buffa has drawn sketches of the riders that are left in the game that he has to eliminate, and they're like these cute little cartoon drawings of everybody.
It's basically
Uh,
the equivalent of Sarah's or Neon's art book from last time.
Absolutely, yeah.
Just while hers was cute and girly, Buffa's is drawn basically in a cave with chalk, and he did the best he could with animals.
Yep, yeah, he's drawing the different animals to represent each person. So Ace shows up and is like calls them all out. It's like that one, that one, that one, okay. And then basically he's like, there's one more though. So he tells Buffa not to look. He draws on the board, and then Buffa looks. And he's like, "You're impressed. It's so realistic, aren't you?" So he drew Punk Jack on the board because he lets Buffa know that Punk Jack is back in play. I love of all the things that Ace is good at, he's also just really good at drawing for some reason. Just like a skill.
He's just great at everything. It's
Yeah, a
really
skill he didn't need to have. And then Toby, the cutest thing. Ace brought dinner. They make dinner together.
they had a hot pot. They had a legit hot pot together.
Yeah, a little hot pod together. Just the cutest. And they talk about basically like hunting riders. So they have this theoretical conversation about like, you know, like are you done killing riders? What's the point? And then basically if someone's being eliminated by a Giamato, like you die. Like if a Giamato takes you out, if a rider takes you out, you go back to your old life and you forget everything. So Ace basically tells him like, oh, you're not trying to like hurt people, you're trying to save people here. And Buffa's like, no, I'm just trying to win or whatever. So that sort of plays throughout the episode where Ace kind of convinces him like, yeah, but you're gonna save people from the Giamato because you're a good guy, and I know that the eliminating riders is really just because you're a good guy overall.
And even that part of like I mean, like you said, but the part of the last conversations is Ace flat out says to him, so when the time comes, if a Giamato's about to kill a rider, which one are you going to kill first, basically?
Yeah.
And Buffa does his moody thing and makes comments. And one of my favorite Geats lines was he tells Buffa to stop front. He doesn't say stop fronting. He says always fronting. Like Buffa always tries to play it cool and hides his true thing. But Ace is like, I know you're not really this much of a jerk. Like, stop pretending that you are. I know half-ass what you're doing here. It's okay to care and not want these people to die you're friends with forever.
Yeah, it's so like cute and perfect in their little relationship. Like yeah, you can keep playing the tough guy, but I know exactly what you're doing. Like I've been around you enough to know now like what your values are and what you're doing. So yeah, he's always fronting. Always fronting.
And it's like the good motivation where Ace can talk to other people differently and politely and reason with them. And I think he's finally realized that the way to get to Buffa is a little tough love, or at least more attitude than he would give other people, where it's more geared towards like, listen, you're being stupid. Just don't be stupid. I know you're being stupid. You know you're being stupid. Just let it go. We're good.
Yeah, I think he's got to like bust his balls a little bit. That's what he's realized. Yeah, gotta make fun of him a little bit. Gotta call him on his shit, and then he respects me more. Next up, Sarah and Neon. The game starts again, so we resume the Desire Royale. Sarah and Neon meet up, and basically they both apologize to each other from their conversation before. And Sarah says basically like she should be the one to apologize, trying to force Neon to do something that she didn't want to do, and yeah, they become friends again, basically. Sarah kind of vows to remember Neon, even if her memories get wiped out, and she hopes that she can win. Kwa, meanwhile, is of course watching them from afar.
Not as camo as last time, but he's still there.
Yeah, he's much less slapsticky camoed, which is good. Then, of course, Archimeedle shows up, and starts battling them. And he's pretty much only interested in killing Sarah at this point. Kind of ignores anyone else. He just goes straight for Sarah. He even says like, "There she is," as soon as he finds her. Um, he knocks the driver out of her hands. Neon tries to kind of like hold some people off and defend her, but like he's ready to do the killing blow. And so of course Keiwa has to rush in and save his sister.
Because he is the truest of heroes.
He truly is. Yes, he's
He finally left a Tanuki statue to become a
yeah.
real Tanuki.
um, so Sarah, they try to get Sarah to safety, and at this point, Ace and Buffa are also watching. And Ace, once again, like you said, asks like, "Would you let a rider die by Giamato hands?" um, and yeah, so then Sarah is free, and she gets to have her little confrontation with Keiwa. I liked this. So we talked about tropes last time a little bit, where it's just one of the things where like you just see where it's going and you just want to get to the end. This one, they start to argue, but then Neon like jumps in and instantly is like, "Okay, calm down, we're all friends here, and clearly you love each other." So I liked that we didn't have to do like a full episode of them not speaking to each other or anything like that. Like it was like, yes, okay, this happened, you both did it because you both love each other very much, let's move on. Yeah, so Sarah like kind of gets her resolve basically because of this. She thrusts her fist in the air, and she wants to win for her fave Neon, and she also thinks now she can't have Keiwa protecting her all the time. So Sarah's grown as a Kamen Rider.
Her motivating factor is finally taking place.
Exactly. And then Ace and Buffa, of course, fighting the Giamato and fighting Archimedal. Ace now is kind of telling Buffa like the riders shouldn't be fighting each other. Really, the people from the future, the people that run the DGP, are our enemies, and Archimedal is one of our enemies. And they they take him down. Basically, they destroy Archimedal's spirit. I don't know, since he was inside of a Giamato, but they take out Archimedal. And he has one of the craziest like death scenes that I've ever seen in Kamen Rider. It's like stark white background. He's like laying on the ground, clearly like bleeding out, dying. Giamato are like surrounding him, laying on him, petting him, and he's just like,
there's little pink leaves or flowers,
yeah.
petals falling.
It is truly wild. And basically he's like dying, and he's telling them like, "Oh, my children, please use me as fertilizer, continue to live on." Just crazy that he gets this like, you know what it reminded me of? It reminded me of the deaths from the original Assassin's Creed, when you would go kill somebody and then
talk to him, and you would talk to him in the white room where you say your little monologues together.
Exactly. It's exactly what it reminded me of, where you tell them to like Aqueous and Pachi, and they die. Yeah. Broba, of course, is a little upset that the death of her plan happened so quickly. So Jean pops up to talk to her, and he wants the vision driver from her. He doesn't want to fight her, but he wants to negotiate. He tells her that the grand end is near, and says the show would have continued longer if she didn't mess around. So basically, it's like they're leaving because of you. You've messed this all up. She says that she'll save her every last drop of human misery, and Jean asks if she's so sure of going against the runner of the DGP, since anyone who does not make it through at the end will cease to exist. So she's basically got to leave. It seems like before the big grand end, or she will cease to exist. So there potentially is going to be repercussions for supporters who don't fall in line, is kind of what they're implying there.
And then, as part of all that, or at least towards the ending or the last scene, when they show like a call to portal home, the dimension jumping portal, I think there's tons of ways they could have done it, but they went to like just the ugliest CG again to have this crazy fancy portal, have like everyone gets home. I was very disappointed with like the last scene.
Let me pull it back up again because I'm struggling to remember exactly what that looked like. So I want to see again how bad it was. Sometimes I watch these shows and I forget then how specifically they looked. Okay, so there's Gene. There's our boy Kekara. The Granddad Nears. Okay, yeah. Pass through the gate. Yeah, we're back to like the
floating island first episode level of CG, I feel like.
Yeah, and you're right. The big gate at the end is like generic black hole looking animation inside some like rotating squares.
Very artsy. Very artsy.
I feel like anytime they go to that the platform is some of their weakest CG always. Like I guess it's hard to make that look real because it's very unrealistic in general. But they always struggle with like perspective up there, and they always struggle with shadows, and it's just it's not their strongest. But yeah, so that is episode 36. Again, I think my favorite part of these last couple episodes has been just the bromance that's budding here between Ace and Buffa. I
their happiness is refound.
Yeah, I love they're working together. I love that they found common ground. I love that, like you said, they've like Ace has figured out how to deal with Buffa and what to say to him to like, get his way. It's great. It's great. I love that we're building up to this like really this big confrontation between the future people and the people of our world. Like it probably will end with a weird like defend our world to keep it from ceasing to exist type thing. Is kind of what it's seeming like, but I feel like there's a lot of chance for like people to fall in different directions and on different sides. Like who knows exactly where Gene's gonna lay, who knows what's going on with Kekara now. And even the Kamen Riders themselves, like some of them are pro DGP and maybe are gonna like defend the future people, and some of them aren't. So could be very interesting.
Lots of layers.
Indeed. But we're going to close the last layer of this podcast, Toby, because that's going to do it for us for this week. As always, if you would like to send us an email, as I mentioned earlier, cast@kamenridersucks.com. We always love hearing from you guys and love hearing little tidbits and stuff like that. So send along whatever you are thinking about. Of course, we also have a Patreon. We'd love for you to sign up and join in the fun for a mere $3 a month. We give you weekly bonus content. We are doing a watch and react to Kamen Rider Black Sun right now, and we also do monthly ramble casts. In addition to some other fun stuff. Toby and I actually just did a fun little thing now that'll end up on the Patreon. So lots of fun stuff over there. And you also get access to our Discord community where you can hang out and talk with us throughout the week. Of course, we would love to have you subscribe on all the various platforms where you could find us. Search for us in your favorite podcast app, or go to KamenRiderSucks.com, which will take you directly to the YouTube playlist of all of our episodes. You can subscribe to the channel, watch all the episodes, and catch up on the rich backstory of the Kamen Riders. Toby?
It's millionaire rich. I couldn't think of a good word to put there.
I like it. Millionaire rich is good. And of course, you can follow us on social media. Toby, where can the people find you?
On Twitter, it's at Life of Tobes, and on YouTube, it is Tobes Plays.
All right, and I am on Twitter and Tumblr at PrettyDeeceJosh. So once again, that's going to do it for us, but we will be back for Geats episode 37. And until then, have a great week, everybody. Peace.
I'm taking shots at the enemy. I'm gonna make it to the top, leave a legacy. If I got something to say, you better let me speak. Turn it up a new degree, bitch, you ain't seen anything. I pop off with the new rock, electron.